stream. I haven't did a stream in a minute. So, I decided to. So I'm going to talk about Floyd and what he's attempting to do. And I predicted this was going to happen. And it looked like it's on its way to happening. And it just starting to reveal and show a lot about Floyd Mayweather. And just Floyd continues to show what his real personality is about him being attention. And some other questions surrounding. We're going to talk about this so-called negotiation between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford for a super fight. And I'm also going to talk about Tank and Ryan Garcia getting, with their first press conference jumping off yesterday. Now the second one is today in Los Angeles. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it's gonna be a circus as far as Tank versus Ryan Garcia goes. I don't want to say what's gonna happen behind the scenes, but I can put it to you this way. This is basically a fight about nothing. It's really a spectacle because it's really nothing on the line. But at the end of the day, it's a good look for boxing. You have Tank Davis, who's 28 years old. I don't think he's at the peak of his career. I think Tank will reach his peak at age 30. But Tank is talking about he's going to probably retire within the next 2 years. The tickets, I think pre-sale go on sale today, and regular tickets go on sale like Friday or something. And depending on what ticket broker you go to, it can cost you anywhere from $200 to $600 for a nosebleed seat. Now they're saying there's some ways to get around that. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna try to see, can I help you guys get a cheaper ticket? I'm talking to some people. Now, will I be there in attendance? Well, it depends. It really depends. I might be there, but who knows? Then also I'm gonna talk about Tony Harrison versus Tim Tszyu. So, gonna get a lot of stuff out the way. So, I started a little bit early. I got like about an hour before I get to the house. So, anyway. So in case you guys don't know, if you haven't seen it by now, it appears that Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather had some kind of, incident where Jake Paul claims that Floyd Mayweather brought 50 dudes to jump on him, and he had no other choice but to take off. And he said that if Floyd wanted to do the one-on-one, it's all good. Now, it was going to happen anyway, but it appears that Floyd Mayweather and Paul are trying to stage a fight. Jake Paul is coming off getting thoroughly outboxed by Tommy Fury. And the sad part about it is, it may be people that actually buy into this. First of all, if Jake Paul couldn't do nothing with Tommy Fury, what makes people even remotely think he could do anything with Floyd? What, because of size? Yeah, they do have weight classes for a reason, but that's for other experienced boxers. Floyd is gonna, when I say Floyd is gonna humiliate Jake Paul if they fight, it may be even worse. When I say it may be even worse than Conor McGregor, even at 46, Floyd is gonna whoop on Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, Floyd, he just see a payday. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if it does happen, or should I say when it happens, you can count me out. I don't want no part of this. I've seen enough of this with Floyd. If Floyd actually fights a real fight, then I would be interested, because I feel there's some people at 147 Floyd could come out of retirement and beat. And that's real talk. I really do believe that. But what happened is Floyd saw the numbers. He saw what Jake Paul made allegedly for fighting Tommy Fury, they're saying Jake Paul made like around $30 million. And Tommy Fury made around $7 million. So that's crazy. You got a dude who technically only had like 6 or 7 so-called professional fights. And he's made pretty much more than what most boxers did made in their last 4 fights. If that's the case. And you got to find something wrong with that. But maybe this is encouraging these promoters, these advisors, these managers to actually try to make fights now. That's just real talk. If Jake Paul is making that kind of money and not fighting like what you would call thoroughbred, top of the line, you know what I'm saying? A-level fighters, that's just crazy. Then they saying that the fight sold around anywhere between 500,000 to 700,000 pay-per-views. I don't know how accurate that is, but to be honest with you, the fight did only cost like around $50. And I think that's what they would have to do for some of these other fights. They would have to sell it at a lower price to get more people to buy it. Less could equal more. Maybe the reason why you selling 250,000 pay-per-views is because, or so-called 250,000 pay-per-views is because you want people to pay $79, $80 for, you know what I'm saying, average type fights that should be basically on regular TV. I'm just keeping it a buck. Some of the stuff that was on pay-per-view that Fox put out that was laughable. But yeah, this is what I believe is going on. Floyd and Jake Paul is setting this up. And like I said before, I know the Floyd Mayweather fans is going to claim I'm hating and all this kind of stuff, but I have a right. I just hope a lot of y'all have common sense. Now, Jake Paul fans, I expect y'all to believe that he actually got a chance against Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is going to beat the holy hell out of Jake Paul if they have a fight. So, here's the thing. If Jake Paul is making $30 million, well then, Floyd, how much Floyd think he should get? 50? Because I do think Floyd need a big fight. And then there's also questions about Floyd's money. People say that Floyd's money is funny. Now, I was just laughing at the fact that Jake Paul posted that Floyd brought 50 dudes to jump on him. Okay, let's just keep it a buck. Floyd is way smarter than that. Come on, you got to give the dude credit. First of all, in this day and age of cameras and all this kind of stuff, you really think Floyd is going to stand there and sick 50 dudes on Jake Paul, knowing that people would film it and do exactly what they did with the so-called confrontation? Y'all really think Floyd is that dumb? Okay, can we please stop the cap? Can we just, that was just a WWE-like moment. What Floyd needs, no, let's just keep it a buck. And first, 50 dudes, it looked like Floyd was probably at best maybe 10 from the footage that I seen. You'll be generous to say like 15. Like I said, why would Floyd need 50 dudes for Jake Paul? To be honest with you, Floyd would go to jail for something like that. Let's just, like, for real, let's just keep it a buck. Let's just stop playing these games. What do Floyd need 50 dudes for Jake Paul for? Floyd already did whooped on Jake Paul before. He whooped on him a couple of years ago in Miami when he tried to take his hat. All they're doing is doing a little pre-promotion. This is going to be one last hurrah for Jake Paul. Jake Paul is probably going to go fight another nobody, go fight another MMA fighter, beat him up, because he can't beat Tommy Fury. Not in a up, you know what I'm saying? Not on the up and up. I seen enough to tell me that if Tommy Fury took Jake Paul as a more serious threat and really trained, Tommy Fury would do some serious damage to Jake Paul. All Tommy Fury got to do is take, lose some of that muscle mass he has up top, get a little bit thinner up top, get more fluent with his punches. Like I say, Tommy Fury would do a number on Jake Paul in a rematch. And I always thought that Tommy Fury would beat Jake Paul if that fight was on the up and up. I watched that fight. Tommy Fury straight up beat Jake Paul, except for, for real. Tommy Fury won at least 5 rounds out of that fight. So you would be generous to give Jake Paul 3 rounds in that fight. So, like I said, if they fight again and that fight is on the up and up, Tommy Fury gonna do a number on Jake. When I say he gonna do a number on Jake Paul, like I said, Jake Paul reached his peak. This is as good as he's gonna get. This is it. You've seen him reach his ceiling as a boxer, which it isn't very high. But if y'all really believe that he got a chance against Floyd Mayweather, you going to waste $70, $80 to watch that fight and watch Floyd just mollywop Jake Paul. And I say, and when I say he gonna mollywop Jake Paul, he gonna mollywop Jake Paul. This is not even going, Floyd will let Jake Paul get off some shots just to make it look convincing. But when I say Floyd will mollywop Jake Paul, he'll mollywop him. That dude is going. So if you guys want to waste $70, $80, $90, maybe even $100, you go right ahead. But you can count me out. I won't be covering that fight. I won't be at that fight. After what I saw almost 2 weeks ago, Jake Paul calling out Canelo is laughable. And I'm pretty sure Canelo saw that fight, was like, I'm not fighting this dude. It's a waste of time. I would put this dude literally probably in the morgue. Why even waste my time? And then I'm going to be... Jake Paul fans go call Canelo a bully and all this kind of stuff. It's not even intriguing. I have no interest in watching a Jake Paul versus Canelo fight, because I know what would happen to Jake Paul. He would get hurt really bad by Canelo. And that's it. When I say he would get hurt really bad by Canelo, he would get hurt really bad. So no, I don't want to see it. So I'm good. All right, so let me talk this fight between Tszyu and Tony Harrison. I like this fight. I think Tony Harrison can win this fight, but I'm just worried about Tony Harrison making a mistake, getting a little too confident, or falling into the trap about, hey, slug it out with me and all this kind of stuff. I think all of his losses have come by knockout. I think all of his 3 losses have came by knockout. If I'm not mistaken, 2 of those fights that he was in and he ended up getting stopped, he was winning. Well, you could even say that the rematch with Charlo, I thought he was ahead a little bit on the cards in the second fight with Charlo, but he ended up getting stopped. He was boxing circles around Jarrett Hurd, and Jarrett Hurd, that brother, I don't know. I'm worried about him. He still haven't improved. He still haven't worked on his defense. I'm just worried about Jarrett Hurd, getting really hurt. Still haven't improved. And as I said before, Harrison was out boxing circles around Jarrett Hurd, and then he caught Harrison, and he ended up stopping him. And then, what was that dude's name? I think his name was Mike Jones. Tony Harrison, once again, was winning that fight, and he got caught in that fight. I think if he uses his range, uses his jab, uses his combination punching, stick and move, and don't let Tszyu get on the inside, he has a pretty good chance of winning the fight. Now, if he gets caught up like Amir Khan trying to prove, hey, I got a chin, and he tries to have a slugfest with Tszyu, then that might be detrimental to him getting stopped in that fight. It's an intriguing fight. It's a very intriguing fight, but I am worried about Tony Harrison. He can win this fight if he fights smart. Sometimes with fighters, they have to accept the inevitable. Like, if you don't got a good chin, then you just don't got a good chin, and nothing's wrong with that. That cost Amir Khan in a lot of his fights. But then again, Amir Khan, the problem with him, he was staying in range for too long trying to get off those 4, 5, 6, 7 punch combos. After a while, your opponent will time that, and he'll start trying to, he'll cover up and wait for you to back up, and then he'll catch you coming out of the exchange. And one thing about Amir Khan, he was very reckless coming out of exchanges. Face would be wide open, and that's how people would catch Amir Khan and put his lights out, or catch him with something, hurt him, and then end up beating him down. That's just real talk, and that's what I'm worried about with Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison is chinny. He's very chinny. He doesn't have a good chin. He can box his butt off. That's one thing he can do. He can box. I think if Tony Harrison had a better chin, I think Tony Harrison would still be undefeated. But he don't have a good chin. And then Tony Harrison, if he gets popped, if he get caught with something, he must clinch. Now, as long as you don't excessively clinch to where you, like Mark Macedo was doing versus Brandon Figueroa, where he was, and the thing is with him, he was trying to, he was trying to tug on Brandon Figueroa's arm. When he would be holding his arm and trying to like pull it as if he was trying to dislocate it. And see, that's the problem. Tony Harrison, if he get clipped, he need to just clinch to slow Tszyu's momentum down. Jump out, reset, come back in, jab, jab, jab. Then throw a lead left, throw a lead right. Then reset, jump back in, pick his spots. Turn Tszyu, keep him in the middle of the ring. Do not try to slug it out with him. If he do that, he should be fine. But you just wondering if Tony Harrison's ego gonna get the best of him. Because that happens a lot with boxers where their egos get the best of them and they just don't want to accept something, and then they get a little too cute, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they get picked up off the floor, or they getting pounded on against the ropes, and the referee is calling a halt to the fight. All I hope is the referee let him fight. I don't want to see if Tony Harrison get caught with one punch and he staggers a little bit, the referee waves off the fight. Because he is going to be fighting in the land down under. Now this fight is on Saturday, which means it'll be Sunday down there, because Australia has like a crazy time zone. It's like, it's already, what is it? It's Thursday now. It's almost close to, it might be Friday out there, because in some places it's like an 18-hour time difference in some parts of Australia. But yeah, that's my breakdown of the fight. I'm gonna do a video of the fight later on. All right, so let's talk about the so-called negotiations between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. I just want to tell you guys, just don't get too excited. Don't start calling Las Vegas, making reservations until you hear that this fight is official, where they got a date, a location, all that good stuff. Until you hear like basically what happened with Tank and Ryan, don't start making reservations to Las Vegas. Now, you've been hearing through the grapevine that they've been negotiating and all that stuff. You've been hearing that they've been negotiating and a fight for possibly June the 3rd. I hope they wouldn't call themselves willing to compete with Top Rank and have this fight on June the 10th, which is the same day as Jeff Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez. Let them have that day. You don't want to flood out each event by having both of those big events on the same day. You want to maximize and make as much profit and get as much attention as possible. So if they book that fight on the same day, that just wouldn't be smart. That just wouldn't be smart. Either had a fight on June the 3rd or June the 18th. If I'm not mistaken, have it on the 18th or the 17th, whatever. Just don't have it on June the 10th. That just would not be smart. That would not be smart. But my thing is, you hearing that Errol Spence is supposedly agreed to a 50-50 split of the purse. This is what you hearing behind the scenes, that Errol Spence said, okay, well, we'll split the purse 50-50. It should have been that way in the first place. You know, despite what the Errol Spence Brigade thinks with their delusional selves, those goofballs, Errol Spence was never far and beyond to where he could ask for 70-30 or 80-20 or, 60-40. I always thought it should have been a 50-50 split. So if they're willing to do that, then I might be inclined to believe that they're actually going to have a real and seeing these internet, innuendos and all that kind of stuff. But my question is, since when has Errol Spence been allowed to negotiate on behalf of Errol Spence, when we all know that Al Heyman is the end-all be-all when it comes to negotiating these fights? This is why I'm hesitant to believe that this is going on. So now all of a sudden Al Heyman is letting Errol Spence negotiate his own fight. When Errol Spence a few months ago, when the fight fell apart for the up team time, and there were mixed signals and mixed messages between him and Al Heyman, and that they wasn't on the same page. But this could be a ploy. This could be a ploy basically to get people to tune in to the Keith Thurman fight with the hopes of announcing Terrence Crawford after. Whoops, had a blind spot. I'm gonna say this again, and this is just real talk. Fight happens, I'll be glad. I don't care who wins. I really don't. I just want to see the fight. Now, I know some of these childish goofball Errol Spence fans, in case Errol Spence wins the fight, think they're going to come on my channel, calling themselves trying to taunt me, like, because like I said, I never picked the winner to begin with. So it's not going to be any skin off my back. I'm not going to lose any sleep if Errol Spence wins this fight. Not going to lose any sleep if Bud loses the fight. I just want to see the damn fight. That's it. That's all. I'm not like these other dudes on here where their whole channel is predicated off Errol Spence beating Terrence Crawford. I'm not the least attorney, and I'm not a bunch of these other, fake dudes on here. Want to be Akon, for real, Richard Simmons bodybuilding goofballs on YouTube. I'm not those dudes. So my channel is not predicated on whether Errol Spence wins this fight. Not predicated on whether Bud wins this fight. Whoever wins, I'm gonna give them their props. So I'm just telling you now, for you goofballs that think you gonna come on here just in case if this fight happens, you not. So I'm just keeping it 100. But like I said, I'll find it mighty strange out of all this time. Now Al Heyman is willing to step aside and let these fights happen. Now I noticed there was a lot of dudes like, praising the almighty Al, or Al Almighty, for Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis getting made. First of all, this fight got made because of Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, Golden Boy Promotions, the PBC, Showtime. It didn't get made strictly because of Al Heyman. Like, man, for real, man, some of you dudes be tripping me out with that stuff. It's a joint effort with everybody being involved to make this fight happen. So I'm just, I just gotta say it, because I needed to put that out there. I'm not a PBC worshiper. I just want to see the best fights get made. Like I said, I'm not on nobody's payroll. I'm not on Top Rank's payroll. I'm not on the PBC payroll. I'm not on Matchroom's payroll. I'm not on none of those. I'm not on Golden Boy's payroll. I'm just a dude that want to see the best fight being made. I want to see the best fighting the best, or who we think is the best fighting each other. And that's it. That's all. So like I said, I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm not finna set myself up for failure if this fight, so-called fight or negotiation, falls through. So I'm just telling everybody to chill. Don't start calling, what I'm saying, your local travel agent, or don't start going on booking.com. Don't start, or none of that stuff. Don't start looking on Cheapo Air for plane tickets and hotels and all that kind of stuff until you see an actual press conference or the announcement of a press tour announcing Spence versus Crawford. Then that's when you should get excited. Now that Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis is official, yes, now you can start making your reservations to go to Las Vegas if you plan on being in attendance. Because we done been down this rabbit hole way too many times with this. Too much capping, too much, you know what I'm saying? Too much. And I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. But if this in fact is true, I do think it's a good thing that Al Heyman is stepping aside. But my question is, why? You've always been the overseer when it comes to the people that's, signed to the PBC. So now you about to cut them loose and let them do their thing. You also hearing about Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. that could possibly become a reality. And I think it's about time. By the way, I heard that Anthony Joshua's upcoming fight is selling poorly. They're saying that this fight that he got coming up is selling very poorly. But I will say this much. There is value. There is value in a Deontay Wilder Anthony Joshua fight. People would still check that fight out. Once again, that would be a fight for the... I have to keep it a buck, you guys. That would be a fight for the culture. As they say. That would be a fight for the culture. But people would still watch it. But me, myself, my own personal thought, I just think Anthony Joshua just never really wanted... My own personal thought is, I think Anthony Joshua never really wanted to fight Deontay Wilder. And I think he was basically behind the scenes asking Eddie Hearn to keep him away from Deontay Wilder. When Anthony Joshua was three quarters, since it's 4 belts that make you undisputed. Since Anthony Joshua was three quarters a belt away from being the undisputed heavyweight champion, I just think he could have signed a 2-fight deal. I think that fight wouldn't have been that difficult to get made. I think Al Heyman should have worked the deal out. They could have did the same thing that they did with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. They could have said, hey, check this out. We could do a joint pay-per-view where we basically split the proceeds. Okay, we'll do the first fight at Wembley Stadium. And then we'll do the second fight in the States. If Deontay Wilder wins the first fight, we do the fights in the States. Since Joshua got 3 of the 4 belts, the Zone could be the primary, be the primary host as far as when it comes to the pay-per-views go. But Showtime or Fox will get a percentage. Now, if Deontay Wilder wins, then the PBC is the primary promoter, and then whoever we get to cover the fight on our end, they're the primary broadcaster, and then the Zone get a percentage in the rematch. It could have been done. It wasn't impossible. It wasn't impossible. All you did is hear excuses from Eddie Hearn and the Zone fanboys, and then you heard PBC fanboys make an excuse after excuse. So I hope this fight is going to come to fruition, because I want to see it. I've been clamoring for it. Yes, you guys are absolutely right. The fight doesn't have the same value that it would have had 4 years ago if it had happened when both of these men were undefeated. But unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But people still would tune in for it. People would still have some curiosity in seeing this fight, and people would still be interested in seeing this fight, because you would have 2 dudes that have nothing to lose. And then I think both of these dudes, the funny thing is now, who would be the A side? I think now it would be easier to make the fight, because neither one of these brothers are carrying belts. This is why it would be a lot easier to try to make the fight now. So I'm just saying, you guys, I want to see the fight. I really do. I hope it get made. I hope we can get past the politics and all this kind of stuff. I really do. And I can tell you now, that fight if it don't be in the States, that fight is probably gonna be in Saudi Arabia, because I heard them people in Saudi Arabia is dishing out big time money. So, you know, so yeah, I still would like to see this fight. And I know you guys are gonna eventually ask me this. What is the latest word on Devin Haney and Lomachenko? All I can tell you guys is patience. Hopefully we could get, you know, hopefully I have some news for you guys by next week. That's the best I can do. That's the best that I can do. But I can tell you once again, as far as the location goes, this fight is down to two places, either Saudi Arabia or Las Vegas. If I was a gambling man, I would say this fight is going to take place in Las Vegas. But you know, if the Arabs, you know, come with that oil money, then who knows? But they are interested in having big fights there. Now, I've been talking to Bill behind the scenes, trying to see, can I get in where I'll fit in? In case you guys don't know, that's a classic album by Too Short, came out in 1993. Get In Where You Fit In by Too Short. Y'all check that album out. It's a classic. It's a classic. So I've been trying to work out some things behind the scenes to see, could I'll be part of this. But that's all I got as far as that fight goes. Like I said, as soon as I get some news, you guys will know, because I've been talking to Bill at least once or twice a week. It's just really coming down on trying to figure out where this fight is going to take place at. That's just really it. That's really it. But anyway, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys tapping in. So just check out some videos I got. I'll keep you guys posted if something changes. You guys will be the first to know.